Welcome to the New to Wrestling podcast, where I, your host, Xavier Cruz, a lifelong wrestling fan, will take a lifelong friend through the action, the joys, and the drama of the world of professional wrestling. My co-host, Kelsey Silva, has been bitten by the wrestling bug, and I want to invite you to join us as I take her through the moments that made me a fan. So if you're new to wrestling and would like to get brought up to speed, or a fan who would like to relive some classic matches, promos, and segments through fresh eyes, join us as we embark on a journey through the Attitude Era and beyond. Welcome to the New to Wrestling podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the New to Wrestling podcast. This week, we watched the August 19th, 1996 edition of Monday Night Raw, and the match card is as follows. We had the British Bulldog versus Owen Hart. We had Vader versus Freddie Joe Floyd. We had a Final Four Battle Royal for the number one contendership that was relinquished by Ahmed Johnson, which consisted of Goldust, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Psycho Sid, and Salvio Vega. And then we had a non-title match between Shawn Michaels and Yokozuna. But before we get into that specifically, we're going to back it up a little bit. And we're going to talk about the final two matches of SummerSlam, which was the night prior. If you wanted to watch us kind of react to the majority of the pay-per-view, other than these two matches, you can find that on Stream Lounge. It's just streamlounge.io, and you just look up the New to Wrestling podcast, and you can find them, and you can watch our reactions to it. But first, we're going to kick off this one with the Boiler Room Brawl, the one we've been talking about for a minute. We've been building up to it, and we finally got to see it start to finish. What were your impressions? Because it's a hell of a match.
It was so good, just generally, I was like, I want to know the name of the person who filmed in the Boiler Room, because I was like, whoever this, and you said, oh my God, you said, yes, his priors include the Blair Witch Project.
Oh my God.
But he was so good, but I am still absolutely reeling from the end, because Paul Bear is Judas, absolute traitor.
Oh my God.
I did not see that coming at all. I was so shook, because I was like, I don't understand.
I was just sitting there, just biting my tongue, like, she doesn't know what's coming.
And there was nothing to indicate that there was even, that's why it was so shocking. There was nothing to indicate that there was potential tension, I feel like in weeks prior.
They have been together for 6 years, 6 entire years.
You can't trust
and that's
any
what
man.
made it so shocking, is because up until that point, it was just wherever the Undertaker was, Paul Bearer was there, vice versa. So that was what was so jarring about it. Plus, first of all, the entire match is filmed like a horror movie. It's just one camera, shaky cam. We got audio and video cutouts, because it was one cameraman in a very dark room, probably in the basement of an arena, you know what I mean?
With a wire, they were wrestling on the camera wire. I was like,
for sure. I was like, no wonder it kept cutting out. But another thing that was just so interesting about this match is that there was little to no commentary, none. They were too stunned to speak, they were too enthralled to actually just say anything.
There was nothing
except for when they absolutely couldn't help themselves but make a noise based on the reaction of whatever was happening.
I felt like we were watching it, because we were obviously watching it with them, but I felt like we were just all in the living room, and they were going ooh, when we would do it.
Right.
They were they weren't saying oh, and here he comes with the chair, or or the 2x4, or whatever it was. But
oh my God, JR.
I love JR so much, but it was just, I was like, do we think that they were told not to say anything while they were in the boiler room, or they were literally too shook, or they just couldn't see? I don't know. It was so, because then when they got into the ring, there was more. Right. But I was like, they're literally, because what can you even say? Seriously, what would you even say? They're fighting in a boiler room. It's nuts.
And they used everything. They used
Every
everything that
prop.
wasn't nailed down. They
Yep.
like I was like pallets. Like at one point, Mankind climbs a ladder and the Undertaker just yeets him off of it into like a pile of like metal rods and boxes.
It was
And
wild.
100%. And the Undertaker like receives like a running knee while he's like up against like a garage door. Like it's just like,
Oh,
and it, because of the way like the garage door is like platted or like whatever, it just like looks so horrifying. You're just like,
horrible.
oh. And then we get to the end and they're like crawling over each other, like the camera's like cutting out, like all you hear is like the Mankind like pig
Scream.
squeal and
Oh,
like so they finally like drag their asses down to the ring and Paul Bear is like waiting there just like out here like serving, I don't know, Pugsley Adams, like whatever he was
swear.
really like going for. And the Undertaker goes to like win the match and he turns his back to him. He just says no.
Disgusting.
uh, Disgusting.
Disgusting.
And then
I
Mankind
was
of course
livid.
takes advantage of the situation, hits Undertaker with multiple mandible claws.
Oh,
And then Paul Bear strikes the Undertaker over the head and that is the end of the match.
vile.
And then just to add another layer of weirdness, everything goes black once Mankind and Paul Bear exit, and the Druids,
I
which
was
you are
like,
introduced
what?
to for the first time, the Undertaker Druids come out and collect the Undertaker's body and like take him out carry him out of the ring and just into the ether wherever he exists in some other celestial state.
Yep, as like Gregorian chants just play.
Right.
Like
Fully.
effervescently over the scene. It was like so insane because I was like, wow, like that. I was already so shocked, and then
But
what's
wait,
happening? Who are
no,
these
literally what's
people? And you're like,
happening?
oh, they're the Druids, and I was like, oh, the Druids, of
Obviously, yeah,
course.
right.
Oh,
I should have
sorry,
known. That should have been
sorry,
my first
my
instinct.
bad.
That, yeah, like these like warlocks of the woods just like showed up to collect the Undertaker. My apologies.
It was so shocking, just
Mm-hmm.
shocking. I was
Uh,
livid.
and then we somehow have to transition out of that into the main event,
Whack.
which was a chaotic match just generally. So we had
Yes.
Shawn Michaels versus Vader for the for the WWF Championship. HBK comes out swinging in the beginning. He's too fast for Vader. He's outsmarting Vader. He's like throwing him off of his balance. And then Vader catches Shawn Michaels once outside and power bombs him onto the floor. And that changes the entire complexion of the match for the next like 10 minutes.
Oh,
HBK is doing HBK magic. He's out here just selling like $1 million. He's making you said I wrote down the word ragdoll because like he was getting thrown,
thrown.
right, like, and not just
Oh,
like thrown around the ring, thrown like so hard that he's like flung outside of the ring
like
on
flipping
multiple occasions.
over. I was like, this man, I can't.
Oh, he always looks like he's in a car crash. I swear to God. And you're like you expect to find this man just like cartwheeling like through the air as he
Swear,
like
yeah.
before he lands. We have a couple false finishes to this match.
Also,
So
okay, it's just so crazy.
100%. So Vader and Shawn Michaels are outside of the ring, like doing their doozies. Vader drops Shawn Michaels onto the guardrail, and Shawn Michaels gets counted out. So technically, Vader wins the match, but doesn't win the title because those are to win like titles in the WWFE. You have to win by pinfall or submission.
I did not know
Or
that.
unless some other stipulations like occur. So the title cannot change hands on like a disqualification or a count out. So
Oh, I was confused because I was like, I don't understand. Like, you won. Isn't that why you're here? And then he kept saying, like, we came for the title. And I was like,
right. So he couldn't win
okay,
the
that
title
makes
because
sense.
it was a count out. So
Oh, I see.
Jim Cornette like starts
Being
calling Shawn
Jim
Michaels a
Cornette.
coward, and he did it on purpose to retain his title, talks him into restarting the match, which we do again. And of course, um Jim Cornette like finds a way to cheat. He yeets his racket into the ring, except Shawn Michaels gets a hold of it first, and as he's about to smack Vader with it, the referee turns around and disqualifies Shawn Michaels.
Whack.
So once again, Vader wins the match, doesn't win the title. So we get into it one more time. They restarted for some god
time.
Literally. One more time they like restarted, and I'm like, how many chances does this dude get? Like, this is absurd. And we get to see Vader do the moonsault that was bandied about a couple weeks ago.
So insane, because I was like, there's no, and you're like, oh, I think he's too close to the post to do the moonsault, and you're like, oh nope, he's doing it, and I was like,
he misses the moonsault, and then Shawn Michaels scurries up to the top rope and delivers a moonsault of his own, thus finally retaining the title.
I love the name of that move, by the way, a moonsault. Like,
yeah, it's the best
because it sounds it's like cool sounding but also intimidating. Like, I just love it. Sorry.
Right, 100%. All right, so that is the end of SummerSlam. So the episode of Raw that we watched today is the following day, the next day.
Insane, also.
Right. So the episode starts with the British Bulldog coming down to the ring, all regal with his very British music. And this is going to be the first match of the Intercontinental tournament.
Right.
Because Ahmed Johnson is out recovering from kidney surgery, thanks Farouk, and thus had to relinquish the Intercontinental Championship. So we are having a tournament to see who is going to take his place. Of course, this is an interesting one because that both are members of Camp Cornette and both are brothers-in-law.
Also weird.
Right, 100%. So during this match, we also find out that Shawn Michaels will be defending the championship versus Mankind at the following pay-per-view. And during this match, we find out that The Undertaker is going to be facing Goldust in a final curtains match. Do I know what that means? No, but it sounds like it plays more to Goldust than it does The Undertaker.
Right. Because that's a move of his? Goldust?
What?
Doesn't he have like a curtain call move or something?
Yeah, well, he has like the final, or yeah, the curtain calls is his finisher.
Yes.
So I am assuming it's going to play to Goldust's strengths. We'll see how that goes. During this match, we have Sunny, who kind of just like appears out of nowhere.
Odd.
Mostly because she has nothing to do with this match. And then she says she's out here scoping the competition for Farouk. It's just Sunny, just being kind of obnoxious in there.
Yeah.
And then Jim Cornette, we get a Jim Cornette promo in the middle of all of this chaos. He throws out the line while arguing with Sunny because they get into like a shut up, no you shut up fight, basically, while this match is in progression. He calls her a little slut and like just degrades her like further, and we're all just like, we were just like taken aback. We were just like,
because they were like screaming, and then he was like, something, you little slut, and we were like, whoa.
Right, 100%. I was like, he said it like whole chest. He said,
yeah.
And you're like, right. I was like, on Monday Night Television, okay.
Right, the first match, okay.
Right, 100%. I was like, okay, Cornette, you really out here doing the most. The British Bulldog is out there very distracted by the Cornette Sunny confrontation, and thus forgets about the match and gets counted out, and Owen Hart is declared the winner. Owen Hart will advance onto the next round of the tournament, and we'll see who he ends up facing. We only had one tournament match tonight, so as it progresses, we'll see what that unfolds into. The following match was Vader versus Freddie Joe Floyd. This one was a squash. Was a squash.
So again, Freddie Joe Floyd with the boots.
Oh yeah,
they were green this week. I loved them.
I loved them. This was very much a job. We're here to make Vader look strong after a loss. So he comes, he squishes Freddie Joe Floyd, and that is that on that.
It was quick.
100%. And then what happens next is we get a interview segment. JR interviews Mankind with Paul Bearer, and we kind of get a slight explanation as to what is going on.
I'm just gonna go on record and say it wasn't a good enough reason.
No, it wasn't a good enough reason.
But
the thing is, there doesn't ever really need to be. We just do. Apparently, Paul Bearer is sick and tired of being sick and tired because apparently he's been carrying the Undertaker for 6 years out here just doing what? I don't know, to carry him. I don't know. And then during this whole interview, the lights keep like flickering and the camera keeps like cutting in and out, and JR starts being like, hey, like, I don't think the Undertaker's as gone as you both would like to believe that he is. And then you get this kind of, the camera cuts to Paul Bearer and you get this kind of like look on his face where he like, I felt like I saw his stomach fall out of his ass, like just through his face. like
just from here, like up. Yeah, I was like, oh, I still know that that's what happened.
100%. I was like, I just witnessed a bowel movement. And like, because he knows.
I've been there.
Right. He knows the Undertaker is not going to go away so easily.
Oh my God.
So we get part 2 of the Druids. The lights go out. We get a typical Undertaker blackout. We get the gong. And then we get the Gregorian chants. The Druids bring the Undertaker back out. Literally as if like you press rewind on what happened at the end of the match on SummerSlam. They drag him back out, like, place him onto the floor, and the entire time Paul Bearer and Mankind are like, no, that's just his carcass. Like, he's dead. He's gone. Flesh. Like, we destroyed him. Oh yeah, he was going on and on about worms eating his flesh.
And then he's like, but the worms just spit it out because they don't even like it because he's nothing. We're like, okay, like,
all right, you're doing the most.
Stand down. Stand down.
And then in the most perfectly timed setup I have ever seen, the Undertaker gong goes off. He sits up. The lights come on, and then he does that. He, has, I guess, like extra powers outside of just wrestling. We got a little pyrotechnics.
Thank God.
It scares Mankind and Paul Bearer off into the crowd to live to fight another day, I guess. But the Undertaker is very much around and well, and is none too pleased with what just happened.
Yep, and now he got that druid juice.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. Now he's just like angry, and you do not want a pissed off Undertaker on your tail.
No,
not
I want to see it. I don't want to be.
I absolutely want to witness.
Yeah.
During this interview, or like shortly after the interview, we do get a Jerry the King Lawler line that was one for the books. As many of us know, if you don't know, Paul Bearer is a bigger gentleman, and
this was bad.
Jerry the King Lawler, just being true to form, the color commentator that he is. I wrote down the line, Paul Bearer was sweating Crisco. Just absolutely horrible. As if there was just not like, you can always count on Jerry to just give you the mean girl quote of the evening. And he just said it.
He just said it so easy. Like, they were talking and Paul Bearer sweating Crisco up there, and I was just like, right. Like, it just took me by surprise. It just came out so easily.
100%.
Insane.
You're just like, okay, all right.
Oh God.
So there's gonna be more to come on that. I highly doubt the Undertaker and Mankind are done. We'll just have to stay tuned and see how that unfolds.
Wow. Wild
The
stuff.
following, oh my God, I know. The final 4 Battle Royal was the next match. And so we had Goldust, Stone Cold, Psycho Sid, and Salvio Vega. They are competing for the #1 contendership that Ahmed Johnson had won in a previous Battle Royal. And they were the last other 4 competitors other than Ahmed Johnson. So we had Psycho Sid eliminated pretty early.
Yeah.
They all kind of
Really
teamed
quick.
up and just kind of overwhelmed him, I guess. And then we had Stone Cold eliminated second, which was disappointing because we got a kind of a concise promo from him where he said this time was going to be different, and it just wasn't.
It just wasn't, babe. It is a bummer.
We had an excellent showing from Salvio Vega.
Oh,
In
I
this
love
one,
that guy.
he's so athletic.
I
It's
love that guy. I do. I was like
and
really excited. I really thought I thought he had it for a
he's gonna
second.
pull it out.
Yeah.
But Goldust gets the better of him and is declared the winner and #1 contender. So at some point in the next couple of weeks, we are going to see a Goldust versus whoever the champion is title match.
Wow.
And then we have our main event, which is Shawn Michaels versus Yokozuna. Yokozuna has apparently reconciled with Camp Cornette. Camp Cornette originally was Yokozuna, Vader, the British Bulldog, and Owen Hart. At some point in time, Yokozuna breaks off because he's tired of being part of the little group. But I haven't seen him in a little bit. You haven't seen him yet, correct?
At all, no.
I think you remember seeing Yokozuna.
Yeah, I have not seen that man.
No, he's a 650-pound, or at least that's what he is advertised. Many points during the match, they were like he might be closer to like 660, 700 pounds. And he's just such an imposing sight to behold.
Yeah.
And then you see him in the ring, and he's like shockingly light-footed.
He's so agile. Like, and he was like quick. He had moves. It was crazy to watch.
Right, 100%. And that's the thing that's like so surprising about Yokozuna is because you see him and you assume he's going to be like kind of slow or lumbering, and he just simply is not, which is crazy when you have to think about taking on an opponent who is that large and can move. So like you know what I mean? Imagine like the just force that 700 pounds can accumulate coming at you. Like,
yeah, seriously.
During this match, it's a short one. It is a brief encounter. We do have another Jerry the King Lawler quote. Did you write it down? I don't know if
I did. I'm like almost scared to say it because it's so mean. This was about I'm sorry. What's his name again?
Yokozuna.
Yokozuna. Okay.
With an A.
Zuna.
Yes.
Okay, so this was about Yokozuna, and it was, I haven't seen legs like that since the Brontosaurus died out.
He has been just in like rare form since he like poured that whiskey down Jake the Snake's gullet. Like he's just been like extra mean.
That is so mean. It was.
I was like, whoa. What did he do?
There was a lot of moments today where he said something or whatever, and I was just like, whoa. Them's his fighting words, like
right,
really
100%.
Rough stuff. Oh my God.
And then Cornette, hot girl walks down the apron, and just it makes a beeline essentially for Jose Lothario, who is accompanying Shawn Michaels as he does, and hits him in the back with a racket. I was like, this man is 60 years old, and you just out here swinging for the fences. Like he hit him hard.
He assaulted him. That was assault.
100%. He was just minding his own business, like being his best little grandpa cheerleader. I love
that guy.
We get a couple misses from Yokozuna as far as like some move attempts. Shawn Michaels hits the Sweet Chin Music. 1, 2, 3. That is the end of that match.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of fallout from SummerSlam. I'm excited that we have already got like the next couple matches like announced for the following pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks ago when Mankind attacked Shawn Michaels, it was setting up for this kind of thing. which is pretty impressive considering it happened like 3 weeks before this
Weeks
episode.
ago.
So
Yeah.
when we're talking about like building long-term storylines, this is what we're like kind of referring to. And even during the original package for the Boiler Room Brawl, they talked about Mankind has been going after the Undertaker for 5 consecutive months. Like, so when you're talking about like a kind of a gift for the fan that keeps kind of watching, that's what it is. That's what they build towards.
Wow.
Because the anticipation of like Mankind constantly being involved in the Undertaker's business leads you to the point of like, why do I care that they're fighting in a boiler room? Like, that's why, because like the Undertaker has not been able to get his hands on Mankind. And the fact that they dragged it out, even like they've added another twist to it with the pallbearer like turn, amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
I love it. Because it adds like a like that betrayal texture where it's just like, now you want to like, I already wanted to see the Undertaker beat Mankind because he scared me, but now it adds that thing of like, you really want to see him like get his, like you really want to see him like the Undertaker
get his
lick back. Yeah.
Whatchamacallit, in wrestling they call it like get his like receipt. So what happens like during like a match or something, like if one of them will like have to hit the other one like really hard or whatever to make it look believable. So they'll do it because they're professionals. So like they'll take the move, but there oftentimes where they'll be like, you have a receipt coming. Like, so like the next time that we work together, like you have a receipt coming. Like, pay attention. Like when it's my turn, I'm not gonna hold back, essentially. And that's just kind of like a code of like law between like wrestlers. You know what I mean?
I love that. That's a good one.
Because it's not, it's not ballet. Like they are actively like putting each other in harm, I guess. I mean, granted, it's both of their main responsibilities to keep the other one safe, like in real life. But when you're doing kind of combat-esque things for the point of like making it look good on television, sometimes you gotta make it count. So
wow, that's insane.
So we got a little ways ahead of us before the following pay-per-view, so we're gonna kind of just wait and see how this unfolds.
Nuts.
Did you have a match that like stood out to you as your like favorite, or a segment? Because we can do that now that they have enough like segments in.
Well, the Undertaker segment was amazing. I think my favorite match was actually the one with Goldust, Savio Vega, Stone Cold, and Psycho Sid. I thought it was really good.
It was really engaging because it was very fast. Like it was very like fast paced, and you knew the stakes were high, so everyone was like really trying to get after it.
Yeah, and it was just like, it was really quick, but like there were really excellent like moves, like where you thought some like Goldust actually like really caught himself. I think he caught himself twice, where he was like thrown over and then he like pulled himself back up and like I liked that one, I think, the best.
For me, I really liked the first one. I really like watching like the British Bulldog and Owen Hart kind of go at it. They know each other so well that it was just kind of like effortlessly more competitive than I think the average fan would have like seen. You know what I mean? Because like there was a ton of like reversals and like that only could occur like if you know your opponent that well. Like and like because they spend so much time together because they are actually family, like they know each other so well. Plus, they've been teammates for the past at least like year for the most part. So they're just constantly like, if they're not actively wrestling each other, they're watching the other one wrestle from the apron. And you're never gonna have a better look as far as like, how do I get to know a person than being somebody's like tag team partner. Because you're really frequently like also traveling together, because if you're going to be like paired as like a team in this day and age in 1996, like you live as a team. So like they most likely are also traveling together as well as
Mhm.
working together as well as being family. So it's just like there
Wow.
was a lot of layers to it that I like enjoyed, and I would love to have seen that be kind of like a bigger feud. I would love to
Mm.
see like either like the British Bulldog or Owen Hart like kind of get tired of being in like Camp Cornette and like breaks off.
Ooh.
That would be something I
I
would love to see and
would
something
love
that
to
they
see
could like
that.
build up to. Does that happen? I don't know. The big takeaways were the Boiler Room Brawl and the fallout of because it's a long ways from over, baby.
A mess.
As always, I want to thank you guys for watching,
Yeah.
listening, wherever you find us, because you are finding us, which has been really, really great. Thank you, Kelsey, for constantly letting me just show you my passion.
No, thank you for showing it to me. And thank you for
uh
letting me mostly talk about their clothing choice.
Listen, it's all part of the majesty. So
Yeah. But I feel like it's now that we're getting farther in, now I'm like starting to understand like storylines, and now I'm like, oh my God, like it's
right.
getting, I feel like
Oh,
the plot is
your mouth
thickening.
did not close the entirety of the Boiler Room Brawl. So
No, that was, I mean,
just a gape. Just
wild, wild stuff.
all right, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, thank
We
you.
will catch you next week.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.